Alright, welcome to a quick tutorial on how to create a point light with Decay in DAZ Studio 3.1 Advanced. You must have DAZ Studio Advanced to perform this, otherwise you don't have the shader mixer function. So the first thing to do is to open the shader mixer window, which what you do by going to View, into Tabs, and to Shader Mixer. It opens with the default material. Don't worry about that. We're going to go here to this lower file menu and give it a new project. For the project type, we're going to choose a light, and we're going to call this Decay, if I can type today, Light 1. And so now we have an empty shader mixer project. The first thing you have to do is you have to have a root function. In this case, since we're going to do a light, we're going to expand all bricks, roots, lights, and looky here, here's point lights. We're going to grab the point light and we're just going to drag it into the shader mixer window, and voila, there you have the basics for the point light. Now you'll note here that there's a shadow function. We need shadows to do decay, so we have to complete the other side of this equation. To do that, you go into the functions menu over here under bricks, functions, lighting, and then there's the shadow standard function. We're going to grab this and just drag it over here next to there. Now we have the shadow standard function. We're going to connect the two by clicking on the little connector here and dragging our mouse over here to the shadow connector and letting go of the mouse button. You'll note that the arrow changed directions here. It's not terribly important in this function. In other functions it might be. It just means that the math functions in here go into this function of the point light. Right now what we have is a basic DAZ Studio point light, but we want a point light with decay. In order to do that, we have to enable the advanced features of the point light. You do that by clicking on this little arrow right here and showing advanced. And now looky here, we have a decay connector now, and just like shadows, in order to use this we actually have to connect it to a function. So again, functions, lighting, look here, light decay. Grab that, drag it into your shader mixer window, and now we want to grab the connector here for, see, it's a function connector to the function over here on decay. Note that it too changed directions so that the output of this is pointed back into the decay function of the point light. And really that's it. The next thing to do is to click the create button. So we do that, we give it a name, we'll call it Decay Point Light 1. And now if we switch to our scene tab, looky here, we have a decay point light. If we switch to the parameters tab, scroll all the way down here, we have your standard, your tint, your intensity, your light color, your illumination on and off, all the standard things you're used to seeing. You have shadow samples here. The more shadow samples you have, the longer it takes to compute, but the smoother your shadows are. Some blur. Bias is just like shadow bias on a light. Any other light, it's the distance at which the shadow starts to cast. And here we go. Here's your decay power. Function of 2 is going to be the standard decay, so you're pretty much always going to use that if you want decay. And that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.